cut the music off really quick. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paradise Podcast Network. I am 1/3 of the Paradise Podcast Network. My name is Cory Paradise. I'm joined today, and I believe it's gonna boom in my top right. We got Scooty Scott Borgstrom coming over here from Scooty Wins, Twitch.tv. Check him out. Not right now, because he's here. How you doing today?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I just had some tiny tacos from Jack in the Box, so I'll be feeling that later today.
Oh, I need a report after the intro here. I'm in bang bang in the top left or in the top right. Switch it. Is it mirrored? I don't know. I don't know how videos work
You
across
just
the
gotta
internet.
roll with it, dude. You just gotta roll with it, man.
No, I think that was good. I'll
If you
watch
go
it.
around far enough, left is right. Think about that. Over there is Alfredo Garibay.
That looked like I was checking the time there. I was staring at my wrists. No watch. Fooled you all. We're off to a great start.
I'm gonna start
Deception.
doing that.
Wow, dude.
Yeah,
Deception. Just like how I told you guys to watch this movie,
I'll look at my
even
other
though
wrist.
I
got
didn't
two
actually
watches
watch
on.
it ever. I
Did you
didn't
not?
Nope, I bullshit you guys all about it. And I really did it
Wow.
because I've been getting into watching movie summaries. And I'm just totally fucking with you. I 100% watched this
I
movie
can't
3 weeks
believe
ago. No, I loved this. I know I'm jumping the gun, but I loved a lot about this movie, and
That was like
I'm
me in
excited to
high
talk about
school.
it.
I hated reading books, but I loved reading the Spark Notes. No?
Oh my god.
Really tough crowd today. Wow.
I gave you
That's
I gave
really
you
like
what,
what
do they call that? A something crash?
Is that a crash?
They call it like
I
Oh,
know
you
what you're
mean
talking
the
about.
right?
Yeah.
what is but
I guarantee
called?
you'll get something. You'll
You'll
definitely
get a
guarantee
drum
it.
set
You're
popping
going
up, I think,
fishing and
right?
you're gonna get a bite here. What did you get?
Oh my
What's
goodness.
the word for sometimes played after a joke? A rim shot.
Rim shot.
Rim
That's what it
shot.
is.
Okay.
Speaking of rim shots, how is the tiny tacos?
No report yet, but we'll find out after the podcast.
Yeah. By
I
rim
only
shot,
just
I mean,
had him. Only just had him, so
well, you could do like the rim of your butthole, I suppose that would be, or the rim of the
that's true.
toilet bowl.
That's true. But again, no report yet.
I saw those. I saw those on a commercial. I was watching the Padre game. I'm up here and I'm a bigger San Diego fan than you guys down there.
That's not true. I was just at a Padre game. Live.
Well,
Did I pay for
look
it?
at
No.
you. Okay, man. Look at you. Okay, look. Cool your horses, man. Some of
You
us.
cool your horses, dog. How are you gonna come at us with some hot heat, saying you're a bigger fan and you ain't even at the games? Now, did I know the score when I left the stadium? No. Did I have to look at one of the 27 TVs at Bubs to find out that the Padres got absolutely dominated?
Yeah, they got smashed. But I was watching a Padre game
Par for the
and
course.
I saw a commercial for those tiny tacos, and I legitimately thought for a split second that they were doing a cereal campaign. Like I thought it was gonna be tiny tacos cereal.
Yeah, it's weird because they seem smaller like on TV than they actually are. But no, they're kind of like this big size. Like they're not bad. They're not bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I know I just did some like hand jutsu signing going on here, right? I'm about to summon the tiny tuna tacos.
Oh no, he's summoning Jack.
Watch out, he's summoned the Jack in the Box. Enjoy my delicious tacos for $1 each.
I love that commercial he did with Jason Derulo where he's holding the whatever and Jason Derulo's like, "Can I have some?" And he's like, "No." But like obviously his mouth doesn't move and he just goes and it just puts the fucking sauce on the bullshit head. You know what I mean? The fucking antenna topper head that he wears. His antenna topper.
The bobblehead.
Oh my goodness.
Call it what you
So
want.
before we talk about Sweet Virginia, which we watched this week.
Sweet Virginia.
Before we hopped on here, I was talking to them about comic books for a second, and what I wanted to tell you guys was that I've been reading a lot of these different comics that I haven't gotten the chance to read, and one of my new favorite superheroes by far out of, I mean, I've been reading like a bunch of DC, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, Captain Atom and all these different characters. Like a bunch of the Batman line I've already read. I like them a lot. But I've been trying to go for the ones I haven't been able to get a hand on. There's a lot of Green Lantern stuff. There's like New Guardians, Green Lantern, Larfleeze, Red Lanterns, Yellow Lanterns, Sinestro Corps, Green Lantern Corps,
Hmm.
shit tons of that. I have found one of my favorite new superheroes is the Flash.
Ooh.
I've been reading his new 52 run for better or
Mhm.
for better or for worse, but I am enjoying it thoroughly. Like it feels like I've gone back to comics again. Like it's how it should be. It's like like what's his power? Oh, he shoots ice. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Like I get
Well,
it.
have you
It's
gone back?
simple.
Have you read before the New 52, or is it just strictly the New 52 that
No,
you're reading from?
I'm reading post Flashpoint stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just catching up. I mean, I could read before all that, but I figured it's all gonna be there to get to eventually, and I got enough
Yeah, I
modern
mean,
stuff to catch up with.
I was gonna say we'll see you like after the Ice Age, after you're finished reading everything. So.
Yeah, there's so much on that
'Cause
I have to
that's a
read.
lot to get through, man. That's a lot to get through, man. There's a lot of stuff that like the Flash introduces that like you just gotta sit there and read, man. So kudos to you. I wish you luck on that. The Flash is probably one of my favorite superheroes, right? Like if I had to pick one. So I'm glad you're picking him up. I haven't read the New 52 though. Is it like is it like
It's just an
different
era.
to his origin?
No, it's no, he was struck by lightning and then covered in a
Okay.
vat of chemicals.
Okay.
Um, which is
In that
pretty
order?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, because I
Um,
think the lightning hit the chemicals and it fell on top of him, and he's like, "Ah, I'm the Flash now."
I don't
I
know.
thought
When I get
I thought
to
Barry
the
was the
Zero
lightning.
issue, that's one of the origins.
Mhm.
We'll see. The New 52 played with continuity. And so like again, for better or for worse, I feel like most comic book fans will say that the New 52 was undoubtedly one of the worst eras of the DC like world and printing, but um it played with a lot of continuity. So I'm not sure. I'll tell you when I get there. There's like 62 issues to the New 52.
Whoa,
So
there's 62, but it's called the New 52. Come
well,
on,
there's
DC, be better.
52. There's well, if you want to be
I'm just kidding.
anal, there's 52 numerical issues. But
Okay.
He
like
got you there. He got you there.
they do things like on the 12th
You were
issue.
Mhm.
you're telling me the stories continued in a different heroes
Well,
comics.
no, like they do that too to get you to like jump to other comics and read other comics. So like they've done this already. In the first issue, the Flash uh phase he has vibrational powers. He can control his vibrational, you know,
He can
energies.
vibrate his molecules so quickly that it's like
Yeah.
they're not even there.
So
Yeah.
he can
According to
phase through things, and they were explaining that, and he was phasing through the pavement, and he got the frequency wrong and ended up causing an explosion. And so it's kind of you're at a beginning stage Flash. It's not a seasoned one.
I was
So
gonna
he's
say
Right.
that's like a very advanced flash technique. That was like one of the things that I thought made him pretty OP.
Mhm.
yeah.
But I think the only time that I've seen the Flash do that, and this is because I'll click on random fucking clips on YouTube. There's one
The Justice League one, right?
where he like makes his heart beat so fast that it looks like he flatlined.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is because Batman is like chained up next to this Flash, and there's
Yeah.
another Batman on the other side of the glass, and he's like, "I knew I couldn't anticipate you." Hey, you know what I mean? Hey.
No, I remember that episode. That was a good episode. That series of episodes was really good. It definitely made
Honestly,
you go,
the
yeah.
DC animated anything
Wow.
is usually super fucking good.
Yeah.
Like
Perfection. Yeah. Perfection.
it's so weird. 'Cause, like, I
What
haven't you know what? It's so good that I don't even bother with a lot of Marvel stuff. Like, I think the last Marvel animated thing I
Mm.
watched was, Spider-Man, voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, and this was on Jetix, and I purposely went looking for it because I remembered it
Oh,
thinking it was pretty
yeah, yeah,
cool,
yeah.
and it still is actually pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
it's,
you have to check
I
out that What If series
Yeah, I
because
was gonna
Yeah,
say,
you were
like, you
telling
gonna
me about
watch What
that
If?
too.
Because I mean, it looks good. It
Corey was
really
telling
looks
me
you
good.
haven't
about it,
seen
so
it?
I was thinking about
Have you seen it,
picking it
Scott?
up.
Not yet. Not
You
yet. I
should.
need to catch up on all the Disney Plus stuff. Just be told.
It's honestly, if
Mhm.
you've seen Captain America, you should watch it.
Yeah.
That's the only
Because
prerequisite.
I know what the origin is. They kind of like revealed it in like some of the trailers of like, oh, Peggy goes in after an
Yeah.
explosion, and
I thought you were
Peter.
about to say Peggy 15.
I was talking to Alfie about this earlier today, and I'm not gonna spoil it because it is pretty
Uh-huh.
new. But the the thing that you should watch it for is not necessarily like I was initially intrigued by the what if, the ooh, what if Peggy Carter becomes Captain America, or
Mhm.
or Captain Carter. That's what drew
Presented for
me
you
in.
today is the case of one Peggy Carter.
That's what drew me in. But
Mhm.
what really was impressive to me, with the part that was compelling and kept me watching, was the action sequences are really good, and
Ooh.
they treat her like an Amazonian, and I love it. I love it that she does things and they're not like prissy about it.
Mhm.
It's just good solid action scenes. And then the other thing that I really like about it is that they spent so much time pulling and recreating scenes from Captain America,
Mhm.
but taking the scene as the film depicts it, and then swapping or changing aspects of it to fit this new what if. But they use the original film very much as a backdrop to create
Gotcha.
their, so it's almost like watching the or watching Captain America, but you're watching a different, you're watching the cutting room floor version almost. Like,
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
interesting way of doing it.
That's kind of
And
cool.
I'm wondering if all the other episodes will be other movies
Mhm.
in the universe already, or series, or episodes, or whatever
I
that
mean,
they
it
play
might
with.
be because in the trailers you see the beginning where Tony Stark's like looking at his own bomb and fucking what's his name, Killmonger like throws it in the air or some shit, right? They showed off a scene like that, so I'm
Yeah.
imagining they're gonna take that route
It might be
of like
chronological,
recreating movies.
because everything
Uh huh.
starts with Captain America, so it
Right.
might be chronologically.
So then, what you think Captain Marvel's next?
That would be next, but
Uh
they
huh.
might skip that. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe
I don't.
they're doing the originals. Maybe they're just doing the original six. Right. That's kind of what I'm
What?
thinking.
I would love if they just had like a reference, like it was supposed to be Captain Marvel, and she just doesn't show up. Like, we know this is the what if you want, so we'll just.
We'll just act
What
like
if
it
she
didn't
was never
Is
exist.
the camera?
here?
Yeah, it's just like it's like like a fighter jet up in the
Uh,
air, and you just watch it, and it just, and then it like pans over to
oh,
the
dude,
next
no.
one in the order. It pans
It'd
over
be
to
so
Iron Man.
funny. It'd be so funny if it was Captain Marvel, but they showed Shazam like the entirety of the fucking movie from like DC.
The
What if it
original
was?
Captain
Oh
Marvel.
man, dude, yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
it'd be so fucking funny.
I,
But no, I was gonna ask, did you look at the cast list for the What If to see if like they got the original actors for it?
yeah, it's all no, it's
Did
all
they?
original.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh.
it's
Well,
Haley
did they get like
Atwell.
the actor for Peggy
Haley
to
Atwell.
come
Yeah,
back? Okay.
yeah. They have
Hmm.
her. They have um
Chris Evans,
Chris Evans as
Tommy
Okay,
Lee
cool. Because
Jones.
they
I know
and
Chris.
they got the
He
guy who
expressed
did
some interest. He expressed some interest in coming back to the Captain America role. So I don't know if this was it or if he wants to do more live
yeah,
action,
they
but
they had
it's pretty
him.
cool.
They had him, and they had Howard Stark as well, the guy who
Mhm.
played Howard Stark in uh,
That's cool. That's cool.
Agent Carter and all that. Yeah, so
Hmm.
yeah, they really did their job. It's pretty good, and I think you guys should both watch it. It's only 30 minutes, so it's not like a huge
It's
investment.
not that bad. It's not bad. Standard
But
episode and all.
we've been going for about 25 minutes now, and like the title says for the episode, we watched Sweet Virginia, which is starring John Bernthal, Imogen Poots, some stranger. I don't know what his name is. I can't. What was the? Did you guys look up what the
Christopher Abbott for Elwood.
Abbott.
Christopher
Yeah,
Abbott
Abbott. Abbott.
for Elwood,
Hmm.
which is the, as we'll find out, this killer in Alaska. Um. So Yeah, we watched Sweet Virginia. What did you guys think? First off, when did you last watch it?
3 weeks ago, still, despite the time extension on this,
Mhm,
I still didn't rewatch it, but I also immediately after, for whatever reason, I was like, why was this made? That was
mhm,
like one of my questions. I was like, whose vision was this? Because it's a very um neatly packaged story. It's got a very concise, like, this is when events kick off, and it wraps up nicely with a bow at this point.
mhm,
And
Mhm.
the cinematography, or like some of the you can't even call them establishing shots, because they just have a lot of shots in this movie, like before it transitions into the next scene,
mhm,
that are just so beautiful. And granted, it's Alaska. Alaska's known for being very picturesque, but for some reason, those provide, like, those shots of, like, nature, and it's not always just nature. Sometimes it was, like, mountains in the background and a house and, like, a telephone pole, but
mhm,
it's done in such a way that it conveys emotion really well. Um, and, it provides a little bit of respite for, you know, go before you go into the next scene. Like, it gives you a break. It gives you a chance to catch your breath and, like, process what happened.
mhm,
Not that any events are all that shocking, but it's just pretty cool to watch the story unfold, in my opinion. It's a easy watch, and
mhm,
that's how I would describe it. Um, but that was what stood out to me the most. Um, but other than the fact that the Punisher has like one fight scene, and you know, they purposely handicapped him. They're like, "You want to see John Bernthal? Yeah, all right, but he doesn't get to fight. Can you fight? All right, he can fight. Okay, cool." And then he fights, and it's that picture of Kermit going. That was my reaction. um,
I did a little bit of research. I there's not a lot on this film.
mhm.
Well, there's a cool guy driving down my neighborhood.
Ooh,
Um,
we can't hear it.
oh well, I can.
Yeah,
I
shows how
hear it enough for everybody.
shows how fucking lame that guy actually is.
Yeah, right, dude? Not even loud enough to pick up on the fucking
Hey,
mic, dude.
they can't even hear you.
What
That's
I
is
right.
think I'll
that?
try harder
Run
next
What is
time,
that?
dude.
away.
A two-cylinder?
Um,
Is
so
that
I,
a go-kart?
but I did a little bit of research. It's hard to find anything on this film because it turns out it's hard to find a budget for this film because it made $15,000 box office because it was bought by IFC and never went to major theaters. It was played in
Oh,
Hmm.
Sundance festival, not Sundance, but just small festivals and film festivals, and eventually was picked up by IFC. I watched it through Amazon by using the IFC free trial for a 7 day like IFC pass. How did you watch it, Scott?
I actually watched it on Hulu because I couldn't find any other way to watch it.
Uh,
So I
should be
ended up making a
Hulu.
Hulu account, which I'm not mad about because it means I get to watch some other shit, so I'm completely fine with it.
There's some good anime
Um,
on Hulu.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Not
not.
a
It's not
number
like
one
a
source for it, but yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of cheap too, so I'm not like torn up about it, but um, I don't know. This is a very weird movie because I was talking to Corey about it, and I just a lot of the scenes end up make me go, okay, well, when's when's stuff gonna happen? Like I definitely took it like a little differently than you did, in
Mhm,
where I wasn't valuing the scenery. I was more like, okay, well, what's the next step? What's happening? What's gonna happen? All
mhm,
this tension, but for what reason? Like
mhm,
he's gonna make a move. We know that. This deadline's coming up, but when is it gonna happen? And there are a couple times where you think something's gonna happen and it doesn't, right? And I remember sitting here looking at the timer for the movie, and there was like 20 minutes left, and I'm like, "What is? Are we gonna do anything?" Like, oh, okay, now we're doing something, right? So it was kind of a slow burn for me, you know.
mhm. No,
It's like,
definitely. It is a slow
yeah,
burn of a
very
movie.
very slow burn because the opening starts
Oh,
off fantastically, right? Starts off with three dudes at a bar late at night, and they're playing like poker, they're playing cards, right? And some weird guy comes in and he asks for the fucking like the early bird special, and they're like, "No, no, get out," right? And it later divulges into them being murdered, right? And you find out that's a hit, right? I believe the wife, Maddie, paid off the serial killer in the movie to assassinate her husband,
Well, she didn't even
right?
pay him. She
So
promised him
should,
money.
Oh yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk about the plot really quick, which I
Mhm,
Okay.
think can be summarized actually very quickly.
Yeah.
mhm.
A guy was paid by a wife to kill her husband. The
For the
husband,
insurance money. It
yeah,
was it was for insurance money
for the
reasons.
for her the inheritance or for whatever would be left to her in the will.
Mhm.
Okay. Killer goes to the bar where he's gonna be, and one thing leads to another. 3 guys get killed.
It was a diner.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
the
Lou's diner.
bar diner establishment,
They go to a
establishment.
place with seats, and
Mhm.
3 of them end up getting killed.
They
Mhm.
go to Lou's. Come on, man, it's this
So
small
place with
detail.
seats.
Just
Place
all right,
with
no.
seats.
Yeah, I got control of this. If you're gonna be a freaking pain in the ass, wax it. We're done. We already extended this thing to 9 o'clock for the shitty fucking lighting of my dingy smoker lamp. So this guy
Oh no,
kills.
my
Here's
LED
the
died.
point that fucking matters: is
Okay,
the
sorry.
guy kills 3 guys. Was supposed to kill one. The girl was gonna
Mhm.
get her money. She
Mhm.
was gonna pay the dude money. She can't pay
Mhm.
the dude money because she has to
Because
wait. And then she goes to the lawyer and to the banker. She realizes, oh shit, my lying husband who was cheating on me once again lied to me, and I don't have money, so I can't pay this killer. The killer wants money, and so he stays at a motel which is owned by John Bernthal, who is also apparently a professional bull rider at one point, and that
it
matters
used to be.
at some point. What matters more is that his gun was a Nazi fighter, and he has like a fucking rifle on the wall. And once you know movie rule like number 5, you see a gun, it's gonna fire. So later on, when this girl who works at the motel, whose mom is doinking John Bernthal, is
Wait,
she?
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, that's not her. That's her mom.
I'm. I
I
yeah.
don't think that. I don't think that's her mom. I think that's somebody else from the town. No, that lady that John Bernthal is actually having an affair with. That was the wife of one of the other guys
I
that got murdered at the
understand that.
diner.
I understand that. But I think that might be her mom because
No, the
there's a quick little like thing. Okay,
when she's talking to her over the phone,
when we're going
that's a different character.
when we're so what happens is that she can't pay the guy the money. The guy gets mad and he has to attack the girl who owes her money. I think he kills her and then has to go to the other place where did he not kill her?
What?
Well, he attacked her.
He
Hey,
does
you
attack
watched
and he
this fucking
threatens
thing
her.
3 weeks
Yeah, but
ago,
I
dude.
liked it. That's
So
why I didn't need to rewatch it, man.
and so he goes and kills her, or he goes and attacks her and tries to get the money. She doesn't have the money. She says the money's with this person the person that John Bernthal's doinking. He goes over there. She attacks, or they attack her. There's 2 of them. Something happens, transpires. He ends up going back to the motel, and then John Bernthal comes and has a final shootout with him. And that's the movie. The whole movie is summarized right there. Is that a guy was paid to kill someone, it escalated to 3 people. That affects a whole handful of people in town. The guy wants his money. Turns out there is no money. He wants his money and he tries to get it. And then he gets shot by John Bernthal when he tries to get away. Right? That's the plot.
Yeah, you kind
Correct.
of missed
Correct.
a few beats, but I'll give it
Well,
to you.
we're summarizing it.
I'll
You
give
know.
you a 7
I'm
out of
not
10
I'm not
because it
trying
wasn't her mom.
I'm not trying to like I wasn't trying to give a play by play note for note like thing. I'm trying to give the point of the whole thing so we can move on.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Yeah. Well, I
okay.
mean, it's still a very slow burn, you know, because and I was talking to Corey about this, but I feel like there
Hold on,
needs to be a
we
little
got a
more.
raid coming in from Wormpole of 2 viewers. Thank you,
Oh
Wormpole.
shoot!
We're getting wumped.
Well, that's good because
Wumpole.
it's getting heated right now. It's getting
Oh, it's getting
heated
very heated.
over the details.
It's getting
Well,
very heated.
we're not going over the details. We have a whole section of what we liked and what we didn't like coming up. Now is where we get I was trying to get through the plot so that now we can get into the details. If you give me 2 seconds to do my thing, we can move in, and I can just stop, and I can let you
Yeah, but
talk now.
you
So just
had some
talk,
mistakes that
talk,
bothered me. That's
talk,
all.
talk now, talk. Fill in all the blanks that I missed, please. I will do this. Look at this. Look at all this control I have. I can do this. Go ahead, my brother.
Mm.
While we're playing musical chairs with the camera, like again, it is a very slow burn, and like I was saying, I feel like there's a lot of scenes that it feels like there needs to be a little more to the movie to me. Because it feels short, you know. Everything kind of happens in like the blink of an eye to me, you
I
know,
didn't want to get
of like
heated today, but
boom,
I will get
boom,
heated
boom,
about
boom,
this film.
right?
I will. I can do it. I will.
Oh man.
There's no need to. I mean, it's a very easy
I didn't like
watch.
this film.
No,
Yeah. Well,
I enjoyed it.
uh
Now, I didn't like this film. There are
okay,
Mm,
plenty of things I did not like about this movie,
okay.
mhm,
specifically the writing.
mm,
Hmm.
Everything else I really liked. Everything else
mhm.
was super solid. I felt like the writing was aimless, too long, and this is and I can you will hear this and you'll go, I think he's right. I felt like this movie could have been condensed into 30 minutes and been the act 1 to a John Bernthal John Wick series.
Hmm. No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Uh, I don't know about.
I agree with
I
that.
don't think it needed to be
Great
that, especially
origin story.
considering his
Great
like.
condense it all. Now he's a Parkinson's victim who was once this grand rodeo master, and then here comes this guy from out of town, swings through, shoots a bunch of people, spices it up, and then he rides out of town because what? He gets thrown down, he gets beat up because he's handicapped,
Hmm.
and this bully's making up too much noise, gets beat down, and then he lets this guy get away because he can't stop him. And then he has to go on the run for another hour after that, chasing this guy, going through this huge. Instead, we get like John Bernthal, kind of a character. Was he the protagonist? I don't know. This movie lacked a protagonist, in my opinion.
Hmm. Well, I think
The
it's
town is the
hard
protagonist.
it's
Where are
hard
the
to really
police?
place, you know. Well, they were there. They were there,
One
right?
in
No.
a scene that I'm going to talk about because it's like it's my it's the
They
scene
were
that
there
I really
twice.
liked. It's
Yeah.
one of the pieces of cinematography that I really liked is a scene with one of the cops.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
they're
They were
hard
in the beginning and the end. That's it.
All
for a
right, Scott.
movie that has
Oh,
a neo-noir genre
Uh-huh.
tag to it.
Does it
mhm,
It's
really?
it's
yeah.
strangely lacking of any crime or any sort of like investigation or kind of like mystery. It's kind of like I feel like it's a movie of a bunch of not just things happen. And
Hmm.
Mm.
there is a thread, but it's so loosely kept to that you get scenes that it's like what's what is the stakes here? Like with John Bernthal. Like the most curious thing about him is that he owns the motel and that he is kind of getting a quote unquote getting along with this guy. Like in all the interviews. So I said I did a little bit of interview hunting. I found one with the director, John Bernthal and
Christopher Abbott.
Christopher Abbott.
Yeah.
So I found an interview with all three of them, and there was supposed to be like this camaraderie between the two of like they kind of get each other, they're kind of friends. There's like a buddiness, there's
Hmm.
some connection between the two. And I didn't get that in the film. I just felt
Hmm.
like this guy was weird and knew who he was, and he was just kind of like, what else is he gonna do? The guy wants to treat him to dinner in this small lazy town. It was just
Hmm.
I didn't get that buddy thing they were really going for.
Yeah. I mean, because I watched the same interview and they did talk about like mental illness to a degree, with the character Elwood, right? And you can kind of see that in his character. Christopher plays that character really well. I think he is the highlight of this movie, right? In the sense that you can watch him just go through like, okay, he's normal, and then he just goes into this like murderous like rampage mode, of just like pure upsetness. But the interactions between the two don't feel like
Sam, which is
natural.
John Bernthal's character,
Uh-huh.
is very, very weary of him. Like like to the degree
Yeah.
where he shows up and he sees Elwood smoking a cigarette outside his motel room, and he's like, oh shit, because he knows what's up. Like the guy already tried to make so much conversation with him. He doesn't want to talk to him, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I
But I
think at that
think
point he thinks he's just some weird fan. He thinks he's just like someone weird. And I don't blame him. He definitely gives off that vibe, right?
Well, that whole scene and this will go into like the stuff I liked. The acting was great.
Hmm.
That scene where they're in the motel lobby and it's where he recognizes that John Bernthal's character was this professional rodeo, bull rider or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, he recognizes that and like has this talk about his dad knowing this and following him around. But he goes like three steps too far. Where it's like I almost go like, okay, he's making it up.
overshares.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
or
almost like
like
it's like a wannabe Joker. You know how I got these scars type thing.
Hmm.
or like or like just trying way too hard to be a fan. Like
Yeah, yeah.
my dad followed you across states and like it's like what
Hmm.
are the odds of that?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said that. Like, he's just some weird fan because this guy overshares like during the lobby. He's like, "Oh, my dad literally stalked you because he loves
And
you
then
so much,
he
right?"
goes, "Well, give your dad's my regard." I can't. He's dead.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, didn't he also tell him that his mom died, and then
yeah,
later in the
and then he
motel room he
he
tried to
calls
call
his
her?
mom, right? And
Yeah,
we
so
don't
there
hear the
is
other side
something
of that.
weird about that.
We don't hear the other side of that conversation, so we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know
It's
what's
just
up.
it's a one-sided call. You know.
But we don't know if he
So
could just be calling his mom's number that for some reason is still active because he wants to hear her voice.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
maybe.
and
We don't know what the hell is up with that, and
the,
it's never explained too. That's like the most fucking.
well, the
um
explanation was given in that interview
oh,
that we
really?
watched.
Hmm.
And here's the answer is that it was all ad lib or like a lot of the character um like the character creation
Is he
I
meant to be
guess.
like schizophrenic?
He's supposed to be mental to some degree, yeah. I don't know to what degree. The way that the actor talked about getting into the role was just like he's really into psychology, and I'm really into when you get into that, in the thick of it, how you act and what you feel.
Hmm.
Typical actor BS.
Yeah.
For media, but for talk shows and stuff. But that's kind of how he talked. He didn't talk about anything in particular, but I think what happened is that they got the script and then on set they had a lot of freedom to kind of do what they wanted with their characters during the
Hmm.
movie. Like that scene where John Bernthal's character it's established earlier in the film that there's one person who stays in like 128 or something like that. There's someone who stays in a room at the motel that's abundantly loud.
Yeah,
Um
Yeah, the couple at 128. Yeah.
so at some other point in the movie, he has to come back and deal with them for being too
yeah.
loud, and he
That's what
confronts
I had
them.
as my favorite scene.
So that scene was on the day of or whatever, or when they were planning the film. That scene was impromptu, um, in terms of him getting beat. It was written as he beats the guy up. He beats the guy.
Hmm.
And stops it. But then he turned it and he was like, "Hey, John Bernthal's like, he's got Parkinson's and he's got these, issues." Because he also talks about, because I think he played another movie where he played someone with a mental illness or like with some lasting effect that gives him some physical manifestation like that. And he
Hmm.
he he had like a tick in the movie, and someone asked him in the interview for this film, does that manifest in any way here? And he talks about types of tremors that Parkinson's patients will have.
Yeah,
Doesn't really become that big of an effect in the movie, I don't think. But
yeah. It doesn't. It's not that far progressed.
yeah, but the that scene was like, hey, my character is kind of like has Parkinson's, is not as strong as he once was. It's kind of, you know, he's the manager of a motel when he was once a studio. Like he's on the down. How about
Yeah,
he gets beat up in this scene? And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's how they
Good
filmed that.
idea.
It was all
Yeah.
impromptu.
Oh
But there
man,
were a
I
lot of
like.
things like that for this film.
Hmm.
What were you gonna say?
So
Oh,
one thing you kind of
sorry.
touched on it already, Corey, but one thing, because I like this movie, but this story kind of doesn't go anywhere, like you guys were saying. It sort of it starts out as like a knot, and just as the movie goes, it just slowly like pulls it all out for you. Like there's a situation, and it just sort of happens to resolve itself, because you're right, there is no lead investigator, there is no character unraveling, a conspiracy. Like John Bernthal runs into Lila, who's the lady who got her husband murdered and
Mm.
inadvertently also got the other two people moited.
Who was the
um
third, by the way?
Lou.
He was the bar owner. I think that was Lou, right?
Oh, okay.
Diner, but okay. Move on. Yeah. Um, yeah, it was the lady's husband, and then Bernadette's husband, and then Lou.
Yeah.
Bernadette is the lady that John Bernthal's character is having an affair with. Um, there's a lot of like preliminary would be nice added details to a deeper character type of details, like the conversation between John Bernthal and Bernadette, or the lady who plays, you guys
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where they're like asking about, they're talking about her husband, and then there's also like, oh, you should stay, and he's like, no, 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 and then he goes back, he gets his ass kicked, and realizes he wants to run to a source of comfort, and he's like, yeah, I should probably go and stay, and then that's when he like sees what happened.
Hmm.
um there's a lot of little things like that that are very much like small town in the weeds slice of life type details that would be better at that's how you garnish the film. That's not like, you don't bring a fucking plate of cilantro, you know?
Well, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, they tried to sell that as the full meal. Was like
Exactly.
all these extendedly long scenes that kind of like that you're right are very
The
emotional and give
the
you a very good
development,
feel.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's not enough everything else. There's like I said, who's the main, like who's the protagonist?
Hmm.
It's not John Bernthal is the lead name because it's John Bernthal and he just came off of Punisher. But
Yeah.
if whatever movie this is, it's he's not the lead. Like the lead is Abbott here for sure. Christopher Abbott's the lead.
Hmm.
It follows him
The
the
story
most.
revolves around him. In fact, I would
The
say
plot hinges on
almost
him.
almost all of the actions, there's a better way that this type of genre is executed, by the way, and maybe when it's my turn again, we'll look into it and we can compare these two. But
Hmm.
um in a way, it's almost like we follow a character as cause effect. That tends to be how some of this plays out. Although John Bernthal is arguably the most passive character of them all up until the end. And I'll give you
Yeah.
an example of that. So Lila, hires this dude, Kaz, and then he takes on the effect, and he fucking ends up killing three people. And then another thing of that, like, okay, so now he's like, oh, I gotta wait in this fucking bum ass town in Alaska, so now I gotta wait here in this motel. Enter John Bernthal. John Bernthal is having an affair with this woman. Who is this woman? Well, it turns out she's the wife of the late fucking guy who also got murdered. And it kind of like, that's how the movie picks up this weird form of momentum in a way. That's how all of these things are tied together.
Hmm.
Like, um, John Bernthal takes Elwood to that diner, like he pulls in, Elwood's waiting. They end up going to that diner wherever. They bump into Lila, and the two pretend to not have known each other. He then like follows her, home, and then like manages to evade him. But now it's implied that he knows where she lives, which comes in later. Like that tends to be
All the
how like
correlation is there. Like
it's
it's
there,
all there.
but it's like a weird form of like, it never picks up traction. It doesn't get up
So
to speed.
it's, yeah, that's what I think it is. It's pacing. The movie
Mhm.
lacks any sort of like ramping up the pace. It has two speeds. It has slow and slower. And so when
Yeah.
it increases the pace, it's just going slow, you
It's
know?
like the first step of a crescendo, and you're like, "Okay, things are gonna pick up," and then it slows back down again. It gives
Exactly.
you a little it's like it's building onto the climax in the beginning and middle of the movie, you
Mhm.
know?
So
It
I think
eventually yeah.
well, I think this is a good maybe segment way to segue into, like, why it's that way. Kind of
Hmm,
why, it's so good in certain regards and it's not in other regards.
yeah.
And
Right. Right.
why it did that, and kind of looking at all the clues and context to it to kind of make a summation of what this movie is, right?
Mhm.
Which this
Well,
movie, yeah.
were you able to find any like background detail on like the production if possible? Because I honestly
Yeah, I mean, I found a
I didn't look
handful of
anything up.
stuff. Well,
because I mean, again, I think the movie just could use a little bit more scenes, a little more like
okay,
added
so
detail, right?
here's what this movie was, is
Okay.
say you write a script and
Okay.
you wanna sell that script. You can send it to any big name movie house or production or publishing house or whatever,
Mhm.
anybody that makes these movies, and you can send it to them, and granted they get hundreds if not thousands of these a year from anybody trying to sell a script, and they might buy your script, and now they
Mhm.
have a backlog of scripts that they have for movies that just need to be taken off the shelf and given to a director to go. This was one of those movies.
Gotcha.
This was written completely separate from the director and the actors and all that, which I mean, most movies are, but this was bought by the film house, and then this was the director's first movie for the film house for IFC.
Mhm.
And what they did is the original script had was looked quite a bit different. It wasn't set in Alaska. It was set, I think, in Virginia. Imagine that. Um, like Sweet Virginia. And it wasn't set in modern day. It was set in the 70s. Um, John Bernthal's character was not John Bernthal's age or his his well, his character was originally supposed to be like 60 or 70, very old and kind
Oh,
of,
okay.
and this is what came through as the Parkinson's in his character, was that he was weak in some way. He
Mhm.
wasn't a strong, badass. He was a weak older man at the end, in this run of the mill town. Um
Mhm.
and so what's funny is during that interview that we watched, they do so much where they praise the original script, but like up and down. They say, the original script was amazing. It read great. It read so well, but then and then they go, but once you kind of put that stuff to screen, it didn't quite
Mm.
translate so well. So, and that kind of stuff is super common in movies. The script will read one way for your character, or sometimes dialogue for your character, depending on the actor and who's writing and all that stuff. The dialogue is not what you're supposed to say. It's in the vein of what you're saying, or
Mhm.
it's the nouns and this particulars you need to hit, but kind of how you say it and what comes out needs to be more organic. And so it's expected to kind of like take creative licensing, but they shifted. The director got a hold of this script and then made a bunch of changes to it to actually be able to film it.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
so this is what I think happened. They got the film and they went, "Ooh, West Virginia is a really good location, not easy to film in. So
Mhm.
let's make it a place that's easier to film in." Okay. Well, we can't put it in Canada because it needs to be an American story. Let's put it in Alaska because it looks a lot like Canada. And so when you fly to Canada and film in Canada, it's very easy for you to suspend the disbelief that you're not in Canada, or that you're not in Alaska. You're actually in Canada. So it looks a lot like Alaska.
Right.
Um, and so that's the first thing. They filmed a ton of it in Canada. Um, and I think this maybe is a good point. Let's segue into the stuff we liked. All right.
Right. Okay.
Let's because I can start this off because this is what I loved about this film is if I had to give this film who was the best character in this film, it was Canada. It was it was the setting. The setting was beautiful in this film. Every like whoever did the cinematography,
hmm
whether it was the director and the cinematographer, whether they worked hand in hand, it was one or the other. Whoever came up with the majority of the shots in this film, I would like to jot his name down, figure it out, and see where he's gone since. Because every shot in this film is very well thought about. You know, it's everything about it is very well done when it comes to the shots and the cinematography.
hmm
Um, I'm gonna pull up a clip here, or I'm gonna pull up a part of the movie. Um, that I really liked. So it was in the scene. It was after the death of, after the opening scene, they go to that funeral. Um, and there's a moment after the funeral or during it that John Bernthal's character steps out and talks to one of the only cops that exists in this entire town. Um, so here we go.
We're getting there. Don't worry.
Okay. So in this scene, um, and you know what? For the next stream, I'm gonna get this set up so that I can stream to you guys. It's just it messes with all the cameras and the settings, but if I go ahead and do that adjustment, I won't ever have to do it again, and I can just stream it
Okay.
to you guys live.
Okay.
But the most important part in this scene is this is a talking head scene. You can't hear what's going on, but this officer is talking to John Bernthal's character right now, and they're going back and forth. And the way and they just did it there, and they're gonna do it again when they end it. But the way that they shift focus, it,
Focus.
it literally they shift focus, but the way they shift between who's talking
hmm
is by literally pulling focus on the camera lens and deline-
Ooh, I see it. Yeah.
and of course you get some of the beautiful trees. Like look at this shot. Every single one of these shots, you get a lot of that background. You get a lot of that city. You get a lot of that small town. The
And
small
notice
town.
how it's not centered on the people.
Oh, you mean like
Samurai Cop.
this is clearly not a Shervin film. That was his name.
Yeah,
Uh,
Armin or yeah,
Amir.
Amir
Amir.
Shervin,
Amir.
I think.
Close.
Shervadan.
Yeah.
Well, but
Amir Lieutenant Dan.
but that's one of those scenes that when I was watching, I was like, that was so smart. Like there's so many things I respect about that shot, right?
hmm
So taking into consideration, it's probably a small budget, right? It's an indie film. They don't have the luxury of time. They don't have the luxury of resources and money.
hmm
So they cannot have this set or this shoot go long. They cannot have it go for an extended period of time. They have a very tight schedule to keep to get all this stuff done. Again, I don't know. This is just my knowledge of the film industry. I can say with very good certainty that that's how this was all done. It was done on a pretty strict scheduling for filming. This scene is brilliant because normally a talking head scene is very simple, very easy. Actors know how to do them because it's done in every piece of genre ever. It's done in every media, any movie or television show. You have a talking head scene like that. But the way you have to film it is, and this might be no duh. You might already know this, but it helps to remember this when you watch it. Is that every single cut that they do is at minimum one other take. So every time the camera swaps angles, so there's the scene looking over one character's shoulder at one character, and then they swap it and they're over that person's shoulder looking at the other character. Those are two different takes, minimum, because
hmm
that would mean that they're the best actors alive and the worst directors alive that don't want to get multiple, more than one, one cut.
More than
So
one shot. Yeah.
exactly. So you can imagine they set up frame, set up camera, they block it off, they have all of their their stand-ins come in, they get the blocking right, they have their actors come in, they have to run through like 3 or 4 takes to get a good take, cut, reset, move camera, you know, do everything all over again and do the take again 5 or 6 times. Now we're good. You know what? For shits and giggles, because all we got are these 2 over the shoulder shots of this scene. Let's get a wide angle too. Okay, now you got to set that up and do a whole. That's so much time. That's so much effort. That's so much resources. It's so brilliant, this scene, then, because all they did was they had the same exact dilemma, the same exact like scene, 2 characters talking to each other, one after the other, and all they did was they set up one over the shoulder shot, and they just had some dude pull focus, save time, money, like everything. It's such a smart shot when you throw all of that together. That that was probably my favorite like film technique in this whole film, in the whole movie.
Right, right. And I agree with you. You know, like if I was a teacher, you know, teaching high school or maybe like college, right? Um, I do think this movie would be recommended not for the writing, because again, the writing is very like it's missing. You know, it's missing a lot, right? However, you show this movie to your kids because this is a great like how to stage your movie, how to stage your shots, you know, how to actually like pepper things out, make it look good so it highlights itself and not the writing, you know. This is definitely like a lesson of like, okay, this is what you do, this is what you not do. You know what I mean? So it is a very good movie in that regard. But again, it's almost like spaghetti, but it's missing a lot of the sauce. You know, that's kind of the best way I could put this movie. Um, and I think right here we have that scene between the wife of the widow or the that husband and Christopher talking about the money, right?
Yeah, I just play this shot because this is just another example of this, like the superior cinematography of the
Hmm.
film. This whole scene is really well done. You
Hmm.
know,
I think the writing's good for it too. You know, this is one of the scenes where I think the writing is pretty fantastic too. Because it definitely like highlights how Christopher's a little. You can tell there's something wrong with him, right? You can tell
Elwood.
there's just something a little wrong with Elwood.
You shouldn't insult the actor.
Nah, call him Christopher.
but I like that shot where everything going down to the center after they had her center frame. They very nicely transition, just move her to the right and get
Hmm.
everything kind of centered up so that it's ready for the conversation to happen. But even the scene
Right.
right before this, right? This scene here
Hmm.
where they're talking on a balcony. I love this shot through the doors, through the glass onto the balcony. It create in the film, since you can't hear it at home, this you can still hear them clearly talking, and you can hear the conversation happen, but it turns and she ends up walking away in this scene. And I just think that having this kind of like almost like voyeuristic kind of view of like looking through something at them at a conversation that like is you're not a part of, you're separated by the door. There's kind of like everything has that extra little touch to it
Hmm.
that makes this scene feel bigger than it actually ends up being to the film. Like it's almost like the cinematography does it too well that it doesn't like it does not the acting,
It
because the acting is just
overshadows
too.
the story.
Yeah, it makes you kind of go like, it's like having a really big plate for a tiny little meal, It's like
Yeah, yeah.
that's what it's like, and
Mhm.
it's also good. Like, you can jump to just about any point in the film, and you scrub just a little bit. I gotta be careful here, but you scrub just a little bit, and you have an interesting like setup, you know?
Mhm. Which is why I think like highlighting the beginning is probably what I really enjoy about this movie is that beginning really ropes you in because not only is the writing good, the camera work is good, you know, the tension's there, everything's good. It sets up for what's supposed to be a really good movie. You know,
Do you
it
have
sets
the
up
do you have
for
the
a
whole
really good
movie
scene.
there,
Yeah.
Corey? Do you
I
want me to
do.
give you the timestamps for so there's two scenes that I wanted to talk about. Two
Yeah, for
scenes I wanted
sure.
to bring up.
Do you like them,
Um,
or are they bad?
no, yeah, they're good. They're good.
Okay.
They're one of them's an example of one thing that the film does a lot of, and this is
Mhm.
entirely more visual. Um, but I still wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
Where am I at? 5546.
All right.
55,
Really,
46.
really quick. I'll find it eventually. But there's
Mhm.
one scene where the guy where Christopher Abbott gets out of the car. He's going to a gas station, and it's probably my favorite shot of the entire movie because it's like I know looking at the scene going, okay, there's no CG in that scene. There's nothing like they didn't paint in the background. They didn't make the nice looking mountain. That was just how it looked on film day, and that was just the luck of the draw. And it's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's like I know that that's just
Mhm.
it was just that day that they were
Yeah,
filming.
they
That's how
really
that
could not
looked.
have. They could not have picked a better location for
Yeah.
filming.
Well, I'll find that here, but I have
Mhm.
yours thing pulled up.
Oh,
So
perfect.
5546. I'm
Yeah, so this
putting
so
I'm
let
putting
me
a lot of faith in you that you're not gonna get me
So no, here,
banned.
before you play it, I'll just give the context here. So Elwood's come to collect, essentially.
Yep.
He's like, "You lying bitch, where's my money?" And he's giving her the beans. Like he's shoving her face into walls. He's, letting her get a few steps in up the stairs, but not a whole lot because he really just wants to drag her back down them so that she, gives her hope and takes it away, right? Um, he's there to kneecap her, essentially. And yeah, he manages to get information out of her that's satisfactory enough. He's like, "Where's my money?" And she's like, "I don't have it, but I can get it." And then she tells him where to get it. Um, and it's in between, not in between, but it's so that's the context here. So you can go ahead and play it now.
All right.
And I just want to draw attention to the yeah, go ahead and start playing. There you go.
Yeah.
So she's pleading, she's like, "I can get it." And he's like, "Hey, tell me where," and he's satisfied with whatever answer she gives him.
Mhm.
And this is coming off of, so I
Ooh.
like immediately like transitions to this, and we get one other little establishing shot here. It does this several times, and it breaks up a lot of these mini crescendos where it goes from slower to slow. But like that was like an action scene essentially, right? And it kind of splits up these sort of episodes. I'm not, and I don't have it narrowed down to like, oh, this was Elwood's doing,
This
but like I don't know if it's exclusively between Elwood or what. But oftentimes, this is how the story breaks up those swells, like the movie swells up and it lets stuff happen, and then it gives you a break. Boom, cool little fucking establishing shot right there. Oh, there's a gas station one.
that's exactly what I saw. I was like, dude, that is so. I was watching this, and right when this happened, and this is long after I've gone like, all right, this movie is way too slow. Like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
already got to that point in my head, and then this scene comes along, and I go, holy shit, man! Look how beautiful that is. Like
It
that is a
does that a lot.
picturesque.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
for
know what I'm
sure.
saying?
Yeah, even
Um,
those last two ones, like where it broke it up, and then it's just like forestry. It's just nature shot, and then train moving across nature shot. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm saying. Like the cinematography is great. Like the setting is great. The acting is great. It's just there's no substance underneath it. Anyway,
so then the other shot, and I did, and before we get to, because I'm still scrubbing to get you the timestamp. Um, the other scene, I guess, that I thought that I was hoping would give more. It's a
Mhm.
good scene on its own, but I wanted more out of it. Um, and that was when Sam, John Bernthal's character, is talking to his niece. I forget her name.
after the basketball game,
After the basketball game, and they have like a de facto father-daughter dynamic, and then she mentions how, like, or brings up like, there's not a moment that I wouldn't want, to be with my daughter. Like I wish I could have been there for her. And it's heartfelt and it's very touching, but don't mean jack.
So
It doesn't
maybe
go
we need
anywhere.
maybe that's a good transition into what we didn't like. Or what wasn't
Well,
so great, because
I think
It
we
would
can
have,
all summarize it
it would be.
under
The other, well, real quick, the other scene I wanted to bring up was 1 hour,
oh yeah.
7 minutes. Yeah, call it 1 hour 8 minutes, right on that mark, where it's as Sam gets home, he leaves
Oh,
Bernadette's
the
home.
fight scene.
Yeah, where
Oh yeah, 128.
it completely subverted my expectation because it's John Bernthal. He plays Punisher. He
Well, it's
looks
like
like a
you're
tough guy.
you're an hour into an hour and a half film and he hasn't punched something yet. And you're like, this is it. This is it. He's gonna punch something.
Your fucking adrenaline's this is it. Yeah, we're ready
But
for this.
I wanted to see it. I was in his shoes more than fucking he was practically. I was like, fuck this asshole in 528 or whatever, dude.
I would like.
And then he
to think
opens the
this
door
is,
and he's like, "What the fuck do you want?" It's like, "What the fuck do you think I want, dude? I want you to shut the fuck up in my motel."
I would like to think this is him retired from the Punisher, right? He's just like not the Punisher.
I'm the one getting punished.
See, I feel like though this is a trait of something of like kind of giving your actors maybe a little too much freedom, and not, as a director, not reining it in a little bit and like going like, hey, it's good. Remember, this is my vision, right? It's my cohesion here.
So you would rather have seen him beat the shit out of this guy?
No, I'm looking at him walking up, going, how he's limping. Like, okay, so we established he has Parkinson's, and now he's limping.
No, he had that limp. He had that limp in the beginning.
But
that was something I noticed.
Okay. I'm just noticing it now, going like, it's just like, okay, he's weathered, but it's like, I bet you John Bernthal probably had an idea like, okay, yeah, he got kicked or something from the bull, and now he's
I gotta overshow my limp.
But he has an idea.
They do show it. They do show it in the beginning, which is why when I saw him, I was like, how much time is going to go by between this movie? Because he needs to beat the shit out of people. That was my first thought when I saw him limping in the beginning. And
I'm just thinking
this
like,
is some John Wick type shit. This guy's going to completely
I really wanted it to be, but it wasn't.
Right?
But that's what I'm saying. You can see how you could condense all of this. Here, let me watch the scene, right?
Let's go with the
I
scene.
keep pausing it. Let's watch this scene.
Let's go with the scene. But like the setup for it is great. Like,
hey, at least he's not smoking.
Great.
Oh, you're right. It was 128. I thought it was 528.
That's true. No. The amount of times they say 128 in this movie, it's ingrained in my head.
Yeah, I want to make chicken. How much will that be? Oh yeah, 128.
128? Are you joking?
He throws him over, and you're like, hell yeah! And then what the fuck?
No, see, this fight's over because like he throws him over, and you're like, okay, cool. Then you see the hand go like this, and you're just like, it's over.
Not trying to offend Parkinson's.
No, of course, but it's like the way his hand's just staged in that shot. I'm just like, no.
It conveyed it very clear that, and then you see it here too.
The only thing it's lacking is like a freeze frame and then like a lightning crack as he like, you know what I mean? Like that's the only thing it's missing.
Remember that time you tried to punch that guy, you flipped over, Barry? It was me. I uncurled your hand.
It was me, Barry.
But okay, but this is what I mean though. When I said at the top of this is that I feel like this movie could have been condensed into 30 minutes and then given us another hour worth of content. Because I feel like this movie is like, I watched half a movie. Like I watched a movie with all the stuff there, but I didn't like.
You feel like you watched
where was
the first
climax?
DVD of Titanic. You feel
Yeah,
like
or
you
something.
watched the Titanic establish all the characters, and then you wanted to watch a boat sink, and you open the fucking DVD case to Titanic by James Cameron, and somebody didn't put back part 2. That's how you feel.
And so now I just gotta watch the guy on the door. That's all. That's all I know. I don't have that middle portion of the film. But
now, see, I would say the antagonist is Mr. 128 of this film, dude. Literally unbeatable.
No, I think the real villain of this film is Parkinson's.
You're very correct.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, there's no protagonist, but it's also like,
Mhm.
what? And Scott has this. We were talking about this earlier. It's like, what am I supposed to take away from this? Like, what am I supposed
Parkinson's
to?
is bad.
I mean,
That's
but jokes
about.
aside, like, what?
Uh-huh.
There's no moral. There's no like, there's no because there's no protagonist. Generally the structure is like protagonist has a conflict. That conflict is mirrored in the antagonist's like
Mhm.
situation, and then eventually their paths meet, and there's like a similarity between the two. Like one of them solves the other's issues, or one of them causes more. There's a
Right.
general natural like overflow to the story. They cross, and then the conclusion involves both of them.
Mhm.
This movie has none of that. This movie is basically just like an hour and a half of setup. As you
Mhm.
said, Alfie, it's an hour and a half of like character introductions. You it's like the whole movie is about learning who the characters are and learning why you should care about them, and
Yeah.
then it kind of just ends. You
The
never get.
only I was gonna say the only arc we really get is with John Bernthal's character,
You think
and
so?
Yeah,
that's
what
like
would you say it was?
and I just put this together.
Mhm.
So he's talking to his niece about not being there for his daughter, and before that, he's talking to Elwood, and Elwood's like, "You got a girl," and he's like, "No, oh, I guess I do." And what does he say? He's like, "You hold on to that, And then,
Mhm.
okay, let's put the arc up and a little bit
Hmm.
center frame here. She wants him to stay. He's like, "Nah," and she kind of almost wants to proposition an ultimatum like, no, you stay or we don't do this. And he's like, no. Like he rejects the ultimatum, like, I'm
I
not
can't.
making a choice, but I need to go.
Yeah.
And then Elwood puts him in that position where he could lose it all. Like he doesn't know what the fuck Elwood's gonna do if he kills him to his niece, and he almost hurt what's her name, Bernadette, despite
Mhm.
him telling him that, hey, don't let her go. Granted, it was unbeknownst to him, but
Hmm.
that's really, and this grant, and I understand, was really grasping at straws, but a lot of this film is also kind of graspy strawy, and this is the best correlation to an arc that I could put together in
Mhm.
a minute and 27 seconds. Somebody clip that and time it and see how accurate that was.
Mhm.
Um, that's as close to development as I could get, because the movie ends with Bernadette cutting his hair and he reminisces about the time he fell. Um, that's the best I got for you.
So would you say
What do you guys think about that? Am I full of
well, I
shit?
was gonna say, do you feel like the moral of the story is then family at that point? Or like
No,
something related to just keeping your
I
loved
think
ones
it's
close?
about him. I think it's about him like accepting a new person into his life maybe.
Uh-huh.
I think
Eh,
whatever I think there is supposed to be a moral, but
Mhm.
whatever it was
the moral
should
was
have
inside us the
been
whole time.
what?
The moral was inside us the whole
Oh my
time.
god.
No, I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna
Come
kill you.
on.
That's just the whatever it would have been, whatever it should have been, whatever it should have been the central pivot, like the central point of the final conflict. And the
Mhm.
final conflict was just, hey, you got a gun. Stop that. Like,
Yeah.
and then
He's
he's
like,
like,
you're
how
bleeding.
about we just cut it even? We're friends, right? And he's like,
Does that gun even shoot?
dang.
Yeah, that was my
I'm
favorite.
I'm gonna fire.
But
Boy, we
like
about to find out.
the conflict, like the rest of the movie, just kind of comes.
Mhm.
Like the
Mhm.
final resolution just happens. Like the rest of the
Mhm.
movie,
Okay.
like nothing
So
pulls on it. It's just it just happens.
now that I'm thinking about it, I can kind of see something about what they're going for. It's basically pitting a guy who has, friends, family, everything against someone who has nothing, you know. Um and it's very weird because Elwood has like no one,
Figured
right?
it out.
No mom, no dad, no nothing, right? Sam has everything. He's got a small town of people who look up for him. He's got a niece. He's got a loved one. He's got people who know him, right? That's the only thing I can get from this, right? And I'm only just looking at him like, oh, that's right. He's got no pay.
I think this movie was
Wow.
trying to be maybe like a character study,
Mhm,
or like that's kind of how they went about it with the way that how slow it is. Maybe I'm a film snob and don't know jack shit, but it felt like maybe they're trying to do a character study. And if you're gonna do a character study, watch The Joker or something like that.
mhm,
Like it takes a whole film to tell it about one character, and when you try and tell it about 5 or 6 different characters, at some point you just don't have enough film to do it,
mhm,
and you got to tell a story too. And I felt like this film just didn't hit all those marks, but some people did. Some people felt like this movie was one of the best movies they've ever seen. I'm looking through them right now. There are some 5-star reviews
oh goodness,
off of Google
that's a
Play.
little high, don't you think?
Oh, very much.
So, I mean, that's a good segue for why don't you guys give me your rating for the movie, huh? Huh?
Okay. Okay. So while Corey's looking through reviews, I'm gonna give this like a 6.5 out of 10. Right? Just going off a 1 through 10 scale, I'm
Six
gonna
and
give
a
this a
half Parkinson shakes out of 10.
oh my god. 6.5 rooms out of the whatever 10 open rooms
Out of
you have left at the
128.
hotel. Right? Well, it's weird because it's like the movie opens with a very strong opening. You have this very defined conflict. Okay, 3 people murdered. You have a guy who clearly is struggling with something like physical. You know, like he's struggling with Parkinson's. You can see he's still got family. On his bedside. You can still see he's torn up about it. They have a great setup for it. They have a great setup to make him the lead and make him go through like, okay, how does he overcome these hurdles with his like physical disability? You know what I mean? How does he overcome these struggles that, Elwood is presenting him? Like there's a lot more you can do with this movie, but they don't end up doing it because they would rather try to at least set up a little more about the town, And there's a little there are other ways to present that, you know. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I just know there are other ways to present that and to do it a little better than what they did in the movie, but it's not that bad of a watch. Plus, the scenery's fucking superb. So I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10. Only to watch it for the scenery, right? Corey, what did you think, my good sir?
Um, I, I. This is a hard one because
Mhm,
I really don't like the writing. I really don't. And but is it better than Samurai Cop? I almost want to say no. Like I think you can get more enjoyment out of Samurai Cop just because of how just the whole package is crazy, like
mhm,
there is stuff you can enjoy about this. Um at least I enjoyed, but like I don't really want to watch this film again. I don't feel
mhm,
like I need to. I don't feel like it brought anything or enriched my life in any way. I guess in that sense, I give it just like a 5 out of 10. It wasn't one of those movies. I don't despise it.
mhm.
I can obviously there are a couple things there are things you can pull from it and get from it, but it's not something worth. In my opinion, it's not worth you got only so many hours on this earth. I wouldn't. Uh, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of them watching this movie.
Spent an hour and a half to watch it.
It felt like 30, man. It seriously felt like 30. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of scenes you could just skim out, dude. It
It
sucks.
felt. Scott, you mentioned that it felt shorter. Like
Mhm.
it felt
You know
like
what's
it
funny?
felt like it took
Actually,
ages
we
for me.
we left a whole ass character out of the description, out of our description.
Which character?
The one who fucking died, Robin Bernadette. He got
Oh,
stabbed.
Oh yeah. Well,
the
he's
the
there for
gas
like
He
all
has
station
of
a
like
attendant.
20
whole
minutes,
fucking
man.
scene, man.
All of like 20 minutes, man. He's there
He's
for
got an
all of 20
establishing scene.
minutes,
He's
dude.
like, "Are you this dude?" And then he's like, "All right, we're gonna rob this bitch."
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? They set up this whole arc of like, or this whole established thing of, okay, we're gonna get you. They say you're reliable, da, da, da. And then at the end, they're just like, Do you know who robbed or who died? I don't know, some kid.
I know, right? It's like,
Dude, I don't know.
Just a small town lad.
You think he'll be out first? I don't know, dude. It was just some kid that died. I don't care.
Also, it's implied that Elwood didn't kill Bernadette because he saw Sam's hat in
Yeah,
her house.
yeah. That's the same hat I wore at the diner.
how
Cause and
Oh.
effect, man.
What do you think? Everybody else is giving
was
a
my
rating.
score?
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
your rating?
What would you say? What would you say?
I would give it I think I'd give it a 7. I enjoyed my watch. It was a nice little evening that I spent, just zoning out on this movie, and and so many times that I'd be watching and it would cut to something very pretty looking, and I was like, I like that.
Maybe
very
that's a good
calm.
point. Maybe that's 5 out of 10. Good background movie.
I think that is the prevailing thing here. Because again, I think if you just show this to your kids and like
I
like
want to
film
know. I
school,
want to know where it was shot. Part of me feels,
Canada.
and Cory,
It
feel
was in
free to.
Canada.
It was in Canada.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
I feel like parts of Oregon might look like that sometimes too.
It
Although
definitely
you guys don't
has
have
that
mountains,
Pacific Northwest
you?
vibe to it.
Yeah, it's definitely got those like upper states
Trees
vibe,
everywhere.
right?
Do you guys? Does Oregon have mountains? I haven't looked at a geographical map.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah.
Mount St. Helens.
Oh, it's
And,
got
like,
mountains.
That's in
eh?
Oregon.
You can see it from.
Is that thing still around?
Yeah.
Didn't it
Oh,
explode?
and what's the one? There's one. I can't remember. There's one mountain on a clear day. Not Mount St. Helens. Is further away. That's in Washington. But on a really clear day, you can see it from the
Fuck,
capital.
man.
And then, but there's one big. I just can't remember the name of it. But it's
Okay, let me.
It's right up by
rephrase.
Portland.
I'm not saying like is a mountain in view. I'm saying like is there a mountain in your state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
drive to it and
if
still
you,
be in
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah.
So if you drive from the coast, it goes up to a mountain, like a short little mountain range, and then it has your Willamette Valley, goes up
Here
to
you
another little
go.
bit of a mountain, and then it comes
You guys
back
got
down, and then
plenty
has
of
a
mountains.
bunch of desert.
Yeah.
Mount
have to drive
Hood,
through
Mount
Never said I didn't.
Jefferson,
Never said I had
Steens
no
Mountain,
mountains.
Mount
I'm telling you, we
McLaughlin.
have plenty.
Yeah, but you were struggling to like put
No, and
together
I'm telling
that
you, yes.
a yes.
I'm telling you,
And
yes.
then-
Because
and
I'm
then you went, like-
driving through them half
And
the
then you
time.
went like, well, I'm not talking about those
Wait.
mountains. I'm talking about these.
Because you
mountains.
said Mount St. Helens, and I was talking about mountains in Oregon, and you're like, "What's in
Yeah, and I'm telling
Washington?"
you, yes. I'm telling
What the
you,
fuck
yes.
are you?
Yeah.
What, Scott? What the fuck are you chiming in for?
And I've never.
I've been
I
through
said we
Oregon,
do
man.
have them, and I just gave you the wrong. I can see Mount St. Helens from Salem. Like I can see
I don't-
it on a clear day.
Yeah, my fucking question was Mount. And by
And
the
then
way,
I go,
let me
yes, we-
fucking amend.
I
This.
said
Oh,
yes, we
this
do.
is a
I
stupid
can
ass
see
argument.
Mount St.
Okay,
Helens on a
Okay,
clear
cool.
day.
Great, sick, cool.
Yes, they're mountains Oregon.
It's just that I asked about mountains in Oregon, and you said.
And I
Mount
said
St.
yes.
Helens, and now
I
is-
can see
okay,
Mount
look,
St. Helens from
Look, I
on a
asked about-
clear
I
day.
asked about
I
mountain in
said
Oregon,
yes as
okay, and
well.
then I say, I was like,
I
is
said
there mountain
yes,
in Oregon,
Alfredo.
okay? And you said yes, okay. And I said which one? And then you said Mount St. Helens, and then later you said no, that's actually in Washington. See, and that's why it's not. Yes, but there's still mountains in Oregon. Okay, there's tons of mountains in Oregon. Okay, you got Mount
It sounds
Hood,
like
Mount
you're just,
Jefferson,
like-
Steens Mountains. Okay,
You just don't like
so
being wrong.
It's fine.
Is what it sounds like.
What are you? How the fuck am I the one that's wrong? I never said Oregon does. I said, does it have mountains?
Neither of us said that Oregon didn't have mountains.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
both
so
said
what
yes.
the fuck point is this?
We both said yes.
I was.
This is one of
Cory
those
was
weird-
just saying
this is one of those
the other
weird-
mountains.
Literally, all I made fun of was that
Isn't
you
this
said
weird,
Mount St.
Scott? This
Helens
is
was
one of those
important
weird arguments
when you
that, like,
said
makes no
it
sense.
Later was in
What are we?
Washington.
What is he telling me?
We said
Like, he's
said
telling
yes,
me
there
I
were
s-
mountains in
joking about.
Oregon. We
He's
said yes, there were
telling
mountains
me
in
what he was
Oregon.
trying to go about, and I'm telling him that I
Cory's-
have said yes, and then he just keeps telling me, like, over and over again that I said yes, but then I said Mount St. Helens. I don't know what I'm trying. What am I supposed to like the movie that we watched? What am I supposed to take away from this?
That Mount St. Helens is not in Oregon.
Well,
You
yeah, I
didn't
know.
say
I
it was.
said it was.
You
I
didn't
said
say
it was in
You
Washington.
said there, yes,
In
there
the
are
same
mountains in
sentence.
Oregon, but you could see Mount St. Helens as well. That's what he said.
What's the
I
mountain?
guess since both of you guys took away the same point from my question, I guess I'm in the wrong. So okay. It was a very simple question.
No, yeah, and I answered it. You asked me, are there mountains in Oregon? I said, yes. And then I said, I can see Mount St. Helens on a clear day from Salem. The one that's in Oregon, it's called Mount Hood. And I can see that on just about any day, unless it's like particularly cloudy. But that Mount Hood's about is east of Portland. And when you go up to get to like Bend, which literally looks like Alpine to you guys. To get to Bend, you have to go up through the mountains to get there, and it's quite a steep drive.
Twisties is what you're saying.
I think they have a Burger King in those mountains. I think because I remember driving through there, dude. I remember driving through the mountains. There's just a random ass like Burger King in small town.
Yo, bro, I think they got a Sonic in that town, man.
No, I'm not even joking, dude. I remember stopping there. It was like, oh, there's a Burger King. Cool. Let me get a milkshake.
Tell me you drove through a town once without saying I drove through this town once. I think they got a Burger King.
I think they do. I think they do. Am I wrong? Who knows?
I know they have a Dairy Queen.
I don't know, man. Can you see that Burger King from California?
Hell yeah, they got a Dairy Queen.
Cool.
Dude, that's when my entire ball team of kids stopped after a softball game, after a double, like a 2-game thing, a softball and a baseball game. Both teams got onto the same bus to come back home. That was a 2 or 3 hour drive back home. We stopped at a Dairy Queen in Bend before we left, and every single kid went into the restaurant at the same time. It's like, you're going to be there for 6 hours because there's 2 high schoolers making like 27 to 30 meals right now. Anyway, I know they got a Dairy Queen. I don't know if they have a Burger King. That might be in Sisters.
I just remember a Burger King in the mountains in Oregon, all right? I just remember that. That's the most vivid thing I remember about Oregon.
No, that was in Mount St. Helens. That was in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, are you sure you weren't thinking about Washington? That's crazy,
maybe,
dude. I legit thought that Mount St. Helens just fucking wrecked its own shit and it just leveled itself. That was what I took away from Mount St. Helens.
One of the faces of it got blown up. Well, you know what? We can talk about that here in a second. We watched Sweet Virginia. That was our take on it. We got a 6.5 out of 10 coming from Scott. We got a 7 out of 10 coming from Alfie. We got 1 out of 2 coming from me. See that? I did some math. I did reduction right there.
You did.
5 out of 10 for you numbskulls. So I think in total it's what, a 6.3 or some shit. Like
6-ish, yeah.
We got about a 6.5. We'll just give it to that's about the overall score for this. Next week is my mandate, so I'm looking through my catalog of everything, and I hope this music's good. Did I tell you I lost all my voice mod settings, so I had to like redo them all. Oh yeah, look at that.
That was loud.
Yeah, I know. All right. So next week's my mandate, and I wanted to do
Double Jeopardy. Double Jeopardy.
Yep.
What is the movie that you are picking for next week?
What is?
Answer the Daily Double. Pew 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 pew.
What is the Russo brothers' No Country for Old Men?
That is correct. That is correct.
I've never seen it.
1,000 points on the board.
I've always wanted to see it. It's one of those films that's like generally considered like a classic. Russo brothers are fantastic. I guess they're now sisters, right?
Are they?
I think they're both transitioned. Is it Russo? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Who did The Matrix?
No, those are the Kowalskis.
Yes. I think that's who did that. Yes.
Okay.
Those are the sisters. Yes. I think they did No Country for Old Men. I might be wrong.
Wachowski. Okay. My bad. It's Wachowski.
Wachowski.
Or maybe I'm completely wrong. No, I'm sorry. It was the Coen brothers. So many brothers. How can you keep
Dude,
it
why are
straight?
there too many two
So,
brothers?
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Russo's did the Avengers and like part of the MCU.
Yes.
The Wachowskis.
A majority of the MCU at this point.
Did
yeah.
Matrix.
Wachowskis did the Matrix, and then the Coen brothers are like, are they who you were
Fargo.
looking for?
Fargo. Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
Okay.
So the Russo brothers, they're really good from what I know. And what do I know? But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I watched this movie and I was like, I think this movie does this movie better. that was my not having seen any of these movies. I was like, I think this movie is this movie but better. But I honestly have no clue. I might be completely wrong.
We'll find out.
We will find out. You can check out Scott on Scooty Wins. He streamed. That's Alfie. Scott, you can check him out on Scooty Wins. He streams quite a bit these days. Although it seems sporadic, you'll go for a couple days at a time, take a couple days break, hit the binge again. So check that out. He plays all bunch of games. Was very competitive at League of Legends for a long time. Very good at that. But now you seem to be playing a lot of FPS, a lot of shooters, and it's always a fun time over there. You can check Alfredo nowhere because he does have a place, but I don't think he knows he has a place. It's called Mutt Hardcastle. That's I think he made that at one point, but
I think I even streamed on there at one point.
who knows? The VOD's lost forever.
Oh, whoops.
It only stays for 2 weeks. Whoops.
Oops.
So maybe you can check out that mythical beast over there, and maybe he appears, maybe he doesn't. But you can check him out at Mutt Hardcastle. Can't see any of the names above him because issues.
You'll just have to.
And
Remember.
where can we find
Alright.
you, Cory?
You'll just have to-
Right here or right there. I didn't mess this up. You can check it all out at YouTube, Paradise Podcast Network. Follow us on Twitter at the Parapod Network, or you can search us on Spotify. The Parapod Network works, the PPN works, and the Paradise Podcast Network works as well. So there's plenty of places to catch up on everything we're doing. All of this stuff comes out 2 weeks later, so it's going to be a while before this hits the deck. I think what just came out this week was Samurai Cop 1. Or was it 2?
Ooh.
No, it was 2.
We
And
talked
then-
about 1 last time. We talked about 1 last time.
2.
Yeah.
Samurai Cop 2 just came out this week.
Oof.
Next week will be Django Unchained, so it's going to be a while before this one gets around. But yeah, that's everything we have today. You guys have anything else you want to... Did I miss anything?
No, I honestly think we're good. You nailed that double jeopardy pretty well, so
Awesome.
I think we're good.
I'm striving for perfection every week, and I think I just got a little bit closer. So we'll see everybody next week for the next PPN at the movies. No Country for Old Men. See you then.